Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and this is Create Your Own Cozy. In today's video, I am doing a compilation video. And I'm calling it 10 projects, but I know at least a couple of the projects have multiple items. And it is some of my favorite spring upcycles and flips from throughout my history on the channel. You will notice some of the voiceovers I kept at it as is, because it's kind of funny. Back before I even had DIY paint, and I was really heavy in the using chalk paint from Walmart and an antiquing wax mixed with water. I used to do that a lot, and I kept those things in here because you don't have to use the products that I am using now, although I do think they're better and they are more fun to use, but that's just me. But it's just a reminder that you can create wherever you're at, and I will add some voiceover from voiceover that's missing, but I really hope you enjoy today's compilation. Also be mindful, my editing was different before, so some of my after shots, the things have sold. Like a lot of the things have already sold, so I can't do another after shot, so it is what it is. But I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you have fun and are encouraged to create for your creative soul. For the first project, I got 3 baskets at the thrift store for $1.09 each, and they had the liners in them, so they'd be great with real plants. But I decided to go ahead and put some faux succulents that I got from Walmart. I believe I paid between 79 cents and $1.29 each for these, but I got this foam from the Dollar Tree. I got moss from the Dollar Tree and put 2 of these faux succulents in here, and I am just completely in love with the results. I love the color of the basket with the pinkish hues of the succulents, and for a very small amount upcycled these baskets into such a sweet floral arrangement. What do you guys think? Next, I'm going to use this old used cutting board I got from the thrift store. I think it was $2. It has a lot of cut marks in it. I just kind of left those there. I did 2 coats of this Rust-Oleum chalk paint on it. I really didn't have a vision for this thing when I started. I just knew I just needed to go. So 2 coats, this is what it looked like, and then I put an orbital sander over it, and I feel like it looks a lot better. I was about to go do a clear coat just to protect it, and then decided I'm going to use my antiquing wax watered down. Again, this is a very bright white, and I didn't like how bright it was. So I just put that on there to dull it down a little bit, and then I put the clear coat on it. Now, originally I was going to put the transfer right on here, but it looks so flat. So I got some of my fabric out. I got this large piece of burlap, and some drop cloth, and thought this would be a way to add some dimension to it. I decided which transfer I wanted to use from the Iron Orchid Brocante pack. I just love them, and let's use them. So I cut my drop cloth to size. I used the stick that it came with to put it directly onto the fabric. And then when I'm done, I turn that top sheet over and make sure I burnish it into the fabric. Now, this is what it looks like on its own, and it seems flat still. So here's the benefit of adding, it's kind of like matting your picture. So I use this Gorilla heavy duty spray adhesive because that's what I had in the house. I went outside because it stunk, sprayed the back, put it on very flat, and then flipped this over and sprayed the back really well. and then make sure I pushed it down really flat. What do you guys think? I had thrifted this really cool frame a while back with original art inside. He's a little cute chef, but he's totally not my style. So I went ahead and removed him. And then because it's such a thick frame, those little metal things didn't work anymore. So I took those off. I cut a piece of wood to be the same size so that I would be able to decoupage this next paper on here. Now you can see that this fits well, but the little silver things will not even keep it in. So I decided to take them off and use them for another project. But guys, look at this new paper. It's beautiful. Cows under a tree. It's so beautiful. And if you've seen Jamie Ray Vintage at all, you know that she's been using this with some of her decor. So I'm just going to do actually 2 coats of liquid patina because this is raw wood and it just soaked it right up. So I wanted to have plenty of stickiness to get my print on there. So liquid patina underneath. Make sure all the air bubbles are out and don't work it too much. This is rice paper, which is a little bit different consistency than the decoupage paper. I feel like it's a little tiny bit thicker and has more heft, but you can still overwork it. So just be careful with that. And then I went over the top with liquid patina as well. Also just making sure you're pulling the air out towards the edges. Next, I did 2 coats of skeleton key. I love the DIY Perfectionist Paintbrush. It totally gets in all these little crevices. This is my favorite brush by far, guys. If you're on the fence about trying these new DIY paintbrushes, try this one first. It is fabulous. And dare I say, you won't go back, but it's nice to have nice paintbrushes. So I'm just showing you how the tip of this can get down in the crevices. And DIY paint is a clay-based paint, so it can be reactivated until it is sealed. So you can wet distress it. You can erase mistakes, so to speak, with water if you need to. And then you need to go over it with a top coat. So I'm going to go over this with white wax, but because I didn't want it to be too heavily waxed, I did a clear wax first and then a white wax so that I'd be able to buff off some of the white stuff so there'd be a lot more dimension. If you guys are new here, welcome to Create Your Own Cozy. I would love it if you hit subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and let me know you are here. Now this next project is a 3-for-1. I'm doing 3 different small cutting boards. I got them for like $1 a piece. Now these I didn't really love the wood, so I'm going to paint them white with just my Rust-Oleum white chalk paint. I did 2 coats and then sanded them. And then the third one, which was this cute little oval one, I liked how it looked, so I just went over it with the antiquing wax to kind of make it have an even look. Now this one I did make a mistake. I should have put a clear coat over it. It worked okay with this, I'm going to call this, is this a bee, a moth? It worked okay with the insect, but when it came down to the words, The transfer didn't quite stick the way I wanted it to. So I will correct that in the next one by putting a clear coat of spray paint to make sure that it'll stick. Guys, I know better, but I was just so in the project, I was not thinking steps properly. Here I go again. Do as I say, not as I do. Now I am finally using my Christmas present. My girls knew I love this. It's the Kindest Regard stamp from IOD. I haven't used it yet, and I'm just taking a 220 and scuffing up the stamp just to give it the paint and the ink something to kind of stick to. So I'm excited to add these to the other two and see how it turns out. This next project is a fun one. I used the doors from my paint display from my booth. I had already painted them and thought, you know what, I need to make something out of them. I had a bunch of wood scraps from when I did my statement wall up here in my parlor room in my house. So I decided to cut those scraps down, which included just one piece I had to make thinner on a vertical stance. So I just used a high temperature hot glue and got those into the picture frame and then turned it over and decided to do a layer of liquid patina just so it wasn't like a raw wood surface to get this beautiful transfer on. After that has dried completely, I get out the Joie Des Roses transfer from Iron Orchid Designs, and you can see they're meant to fit together. So I'm deciding which pieces I wanted to use in my beautiful artwork, and then I'm gonna start in the center and work out. So I measure where the center is and I put the first one down, and then I just keep attaching the transfers that go next to it to make a beautiful wall decor with the birds, and I am just in love with this. Seal the top with another layer of liquid patina so that the transfer stays put, and you have gorgeous wall decor. This is one of my favorites, oldie but a goodie, and it is still in my personal collection today. I have this wood round with some cracks in the middle of it, and I loved that. But I wanted to make it look a little bit older, so I went over it a couple of times with antiquing wax until I got, it was just the antiquing wax from Walmart mixed with a little water, some straight from the bottle, and I put it on there and then rubbed it back to make it look like an old piece of wood. The next thing I did was grab some paint and started painting in the center, and I used good old white Rust-Oleum chalk paint from Walmart back then. I do prefer my white Swan these days, but this is a great alternative. Let's just say I went over it with 2 coats. I don't even remember at this point, but nice solid coats. Cleaned any mess ups up with a very wet napkin, and then moved on to wet distressing that center space. I got back out my IOD Brocante transfers. I know I'm using them a lot, but I love them. And this is all in the same 1-pack that I got, which is the fun part. There's so many options. I also did a clear coat of paint both before and after the IOD transfers. This next project is going to take 4 different thrifted items, 2 pillars and 2 birdhouses, and I'm going to marry them together to make 2 final products. In fact, one of them is still in my home today. I'm going to do some repairs with wood glue, cut off the top of this so that it fits a little bit more flush, and then I'm going to use white Swan, and I'm going to cover all 4 of these pieces in white Swan to, first of all, make them all the same color so that we can get them looking like they belong together. Next, I'm going to use some air dry clay and an IOD mold. This mold is no longer sold, but it's a reminder that you guys have some Christmas things that there might be pieces you can use in the non-holiday time of year, or there are so many trimmings molds and stuff now that you could totally make a beautiful roof and make this birdhouse a little bit more special. I glue the mold on with Titebond Quick and Thick and pinch off the little edges that are hanging over. Next, I'm going to go to all the pieces in wet distress and see how that looks. This one required a finger sander to get some of that raw wood to come back through, and I totally love how this one turned out. Throwback to Henry, checking out the full size of this Monochromatic decoupage paper, but I ended up using the rice paper size of the same print and cutting it down first since it's going inside of a space, and using liquid patina to decoupage it on the inside of this cute little birdhouse. I use cake batter DIY paint for the roof to try to match the paper as best I could. I'm sure I sealed all the paints, and here are the final projects. This next project is one of those things that I had painted and it was on my workspace, I don't know, let's just say for weeks, and I wanted to finish it and either put it on my back porch or put it in my booth. I thrifted this and broke the top off, used some E6000 overnight to just put that on there, painted it with Aviary. Guys, I am loving this Aviary green for summer. It's just such a beautiful color. So I did 2 coats of this and then used a wet wipe to wet distress so that the metal leaves could totally just shine, and it looks so much better like this. So 2 coats of paint, wet distressed, went over it with Big Top, and what a great upcycle. And this project is finished and it can go off of my workspace. It feels good to get stuff done. This next project is one of my favorite upcycles I've done and that I regret selling. This beautiful church birdhouse. It was such a substantial size. It was given to me from my mother-in-law and I wanted to upcycle it. I had all the raw data in this particular video, and some of the processes, the files went corrupt. So just trust me when I say I painted it in French millinery, did some crazy thing to get some green to drip, and then I decided that's not what I want it to look like at all. So I painted the whole thing with Bead Board, and this is what it looks like after putting the Viridis mold on top of it. And it had those colors underneath, the French millinery, and I believe it was Gypsy Green just underneath. And those colors were sealed in so that when I did end up wet distressing this white, it had this beautiful, I just love the way those undertones came out. And this sold for, I want to say, around $38 up in my booth in Dawsonville pretty quickly once I put it in there. And I was like, oh, I can't get it back. So I am on the lookout for a birdhouse that has a similar structure to this so that I can do this one again. It's one of my favorites, and I definitely needed to include it in today's video. Don't forget, after I'm done wet distressing, I do seal all the paint in, and we have a beautiful finished birdhouse. So I had thrifted this walnut colored wood round with an E in the middle of it for $2 a while back, and I've been holding on to it, and it fit this dome perfect to turn into like this little cloche set, but I don't want an E on it. So I'm going to mix up some Durham's water putty. I like to do a 3 1/2 of powder to 1 water ratio because I don't like it too runny. But I'm going to mix this up, put it in the E, and let it dry. The thing is, it does expand, so I sanded it down, and then I ended up doing a second coat of this just so you wouldn't be able to feel or see any of this. Now originally I was going to paint this whole center part white so that the outside was the walnut and the center part is white. This is the sanding the first time around, but then I decided on a different approach. After seeing how beautiful that walnut colored wood is, I'm going to take this thrifted candle holder and I'm going to stain it that same walnut color. I'm going to cut the end off that I was showing, and I'm going to use E6000 and glue this to the glass. So first thing I'm going to do is stain it that walnut color. And then the E6000 needs a solid 24 hours before it is legit holding, but the instructions on it say that it is dishwasher safe glue. So I feel pretty good. This isn't something you're going to be opening and closing all the time. I feel pretty good about the wood and the glass adhering as long as it gets its solid 24 hours to cure. So here I am going over it with that light walnut stain that I just happen to have in the house. When I used the orbital sander to sand this down, it took away some of the richness of the wood, so I just did the whole thing with this so it would have an even finish. Then after this dried, I sprayed it with the clear Rust-Oleum matte to seal it and to give something for these transfers to adhere to and not repel against. Now originally I was going to try to cover up the E with some brown, thinking that these transfers were more opaque and you'd be able to see through, but after putting this against it, I realized that all I had to do was make sure it somehow laid over the top of that space and you would not see the light color come through. So I came up with some scraps to put in the center, and I'm very happy with the results. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check me out over at createyourowncozy.com.